Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. This is part 2 of our discussion regarding Tarleton's Masters of Education degree program in Educational Administration. We're focusing today on the concentration related to principal and superintendent certification. As we're going through the presentation, if you have questions, please feel free to submit those via the Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll handle those at the end. But in the meantime, I'm very pleased to be joined by one of our faculty members, Dr. Cindy Edwards, who serves as the coordinator for all of the principal and superintendent certification options. So at this point, I will just turn things over to her and we'll get started.
As Dr. Ekpo said, I am Dr. Cindy Edwards, and I'm the coordinator and the assistant professor for the superintendent and principal certification concentration. Both of these certifications are professional certifications, and they can also be added to your EDD if you would like to pursue an EDD. So let me go through how that would work. So when you enroll, you can enroll at any time in the MED program in the fall, spring, summer. I actually have some that are enrolling mid-semester so that they can go ahead and get a course in the second 8-week period during this fall. So at any point, as long as we can get you approved by the Educator Preparation Program, which is a kind of a little caveat with the superintendent and principal certification programs, because they are professional certifications. You must be approved through the Educator Preparation Council. So that means that you would have to submit a separate application, departmental application, to me. I have to review that and make sure that you meet the criteria to be admitted to these programs. You don't have to have a GRE to be admitted to graduate school, but again, you have to submit an application to be admitted to graduate school, and then a separate departmental application to be admitted to either the superintendent or the principal certification programs. For each of these programs, the superintendent and the principal certifications, you're going to have a recommendation letter from either your district superintendent, if you're planning on being a superintendent, or your campus administrator, if you're going the principal route. Both require you to submit your certifications, your SBEC certifications. You must have a teacher certification if you're going the principal certification route, and if you're going superintendent certification route, you must already have your principal certification. In addition, you have to submit your official teacher service record. So you must have been or be employed by a school district. So we'll begin with the principal certification program. There are two pathways on the principal certification. If you're going the EDD route, most likely you'll be going the post master's, since you have to have already attained a master's degree to be admitted to the EDD. You can go ahead and get the MED with principal certification and be a part of the EDD program. But the postmaster's, it counts or has 24 credit hours. The master's degree in principal certification has the 33 hours. It is designed to be completed it takes about 15 to 18 months, dependent upon how many courses you take each semester. If you're doing this as part of your EDD program, it may take you a little longer because you're also working on your EDD courses. Although you can take these courses before you're actually admitted to the EDD program and have these concentration courses preloaded before you're accepted into the EDD program. So it makes it a little easier along the way when you get ready to work on your dissertation. Then you don't have to worry about completing those concentration courses. You would have already completed those beforehand. But either way works well. So the typical course delivery, in the fall and spring, they do have 2 8-week sessions within those long semesters. So ordinarily you would take 1 or 2 courses if you're simply working on the principal certification during the first 8 weeks, and then another course maybe in the next 8 weeks. So you can get 3 courses in a long semester, and then just keep going from there. It is conducive to working professionals since it is completely online. This is a non-thesis graduate or postgraduate program. So these are the courses for the master's degree in education administration with principal certification. The courses on the right, the courses that are in bold are the courses for the postmasters. The entire list is the course list for the master's degree. So all of them are, if you count them, they're 33 hours. So that if you're planning on getting your master's degree with principal cert, then it's going to include all of the courses you see on the right side. And if you already have your master's degree and want to go the postmaster's principal certification route, the 24 semester hours are those courses that are in bold. And so that leads us to the superintendent certification program. And as I mentioned earlier, you must have already passed and have your principal certificate to be able to enter the superintendent certification program. The superintendent certification program only has 15 credit hours for the principal for the superintendent certification. So it takes less time. You could easily finish it in a year. You could take a little longer. You can rush it and get it done a little quicker, but it's pretty fast and furious. And then again, as we talked with the principal certification courses, excuse me, it is the same type of delivery. Courses are in the fall and the spring. You can take 2 courses a semester. We only offer 2 superintendent courses per semester. So you would only be able to take 1 in each of those 8-week periods. And then we also offer those courses in the summer. The superintendent practicum must be taken as the principal practicum courses must be taken in the long semesters. So those are 15-week courses for those. And so, and then again, this is a non-thesis professional certification only program. So the superintendent certification program is not a master's degree. It is simply the professional certificate. And so these are the courses for the superintendent's certification. Again, there's 15 semester hours. It is in 8 weeks. Courses, they are all online except the superintendent leadership practicum, which is similar to your teaching practicum when you student taught. It is field-based, and you do work with your district administrator to get field hours that would lead to a deeper understanding of what being a superintendent is. But as you can see, there's only 5 courses, so they can be taken in any order except for the practicum course. It must be taken last. And so both the superintendent and principal certification concentration areas, we have a long tradition here at Tarleton of academic excellence and leadership and a commitment to high quality learning here. We have proven success rates on the state assessments, affordable tuition, very comparable to our universities that offer the same options. Then we are designed for your working individuals, our teachers and our administrators, school administrators. And we also have a committed faculty and would love to have others join us in either of these programs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Edwards. This has been so helpful. To our live audience, if you have any questions, certainly feel free to submit those via the Q&A box. We'll get those handled. I did have a few questions of my own. You mentioned the Educator Preparation Council and that there's a separate application related to that. At what point in the process does someone submit that? They would have submitted their materials to the College of Graduate Studies, their application, their transcripts, their purpose statement, their application fee. And then at what point does the Educator Preparation Council application come in?
The graduate council, the graduate school, when someone submits their application to be a graduate student and they put a note on there or that their area is going to either be superintendent or principal certification, they send an email to me and then I contact that person and with all of the information with the application that they will have to submit back to me. So it is immediate. Anyone coming into either of these programs must submit the program application and be I go through all of their documents. You know, they have to have their teacher service record, their recommendation letter, their physical application to the program, etc. I look through those. If they meet the criteria for the program, then I submit that to the Educator Preparation Council, and they meet periodically, not monthly, but you know, it's pretty close to monthly, but it's not always monthly. But like I say, I can submit people even in the middle of a long semester. So, but you cannot take any of the certification courses before you have formal approval from the Educator Preparation Council to be admitted into the program. And that is part of Texas Administrative Code because these are professional certifications.
Mm-hmm. And the GPA requirements for this track are consistent with what the state requires. Is that correct?
Correct. And they're both 3.0. Now we do a couple of ways to actually see if you make that 3.0. We can either do the overall grade point average of all of your prior college courseworks or your last 60 hours of your college coursework. You know, whichever one is the best is what we will present to the Educator Preparation Council, but one or the other must be at a minimum a 3.0.
Well, and I mentioned that because for people who are interested in the other tracks, higher education or educational technology, you would be able to be admitted as long as you have a 2.5 minimum GPA. So just something to
Correct.
be mindful of, that this track does require a higher minimum GPA, but that's tied to the state requirements.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we often have individuals who want to come in to the principal certification track, but they do not have that 3.0. And we work with them many times. They will either do the higher ed or the technology MED track until they get that 3.0, and then they switch over and go ahead and begin with us.
Very good.
Now, those courses that they take to get their GPA up do not count toward this, either of the principal or the superintendent certification, because those courses are very specific to these certifications.
Yes. I believe I heard you say that no one can do the superintendent certification unless they've already achieved the principal certification. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Do
You
you do
must
you
already have principal certification.
do you ever have people who do them back to back?
I do, and actually I have one who most recently who did that. And what I have to do is give them a letter of deficiency, letting them know that yes, they've completed the principal certification program courses, but they hadn't yet finished the testing. And so they weren't certified principals, and that letter of deficiency was put in their folder, and they were let know that they can complete the superintendent certification program, but they cannot, we will not forward their name to the Texas Education Agency until they actually have their principal certificate.
Okay. Well, and thank you for mentioning that, because that's an important part. So this certification
Absolutely.
program is just coursework, and it qualifies someone to be able to sit for the state certification exams.
Correct.
At what point would they take that? Do people typically take that after they've completed our programs, or during?
So the principal certification has two tests. It's the Texas 268 and the Texas 368. So, and the principal certification courses has two practicums. So practicum one, at the end of practicum one, our students should be prepared to take the Texas 268, which is the multiple choice portion of the test. So they can go ahead and finish practicum one, and if they are ready and are eligible to take the 268, then they can. If they pass it at that point, then they can actually become an assistant principal before they actually finish their Texas 368 and their practicum 2. And that is dependent upon the district and if they are willing to hire them. Then in practicum 2, we work on finishing up their preparation for that second test, the 368. And so at the end of practicum 2, they should be ready to go ahead and complete and upload their 368 materials so that they can finish up and pass that last test.
Yes. And after the passing of that final test, that's when they are officially certified as principals.
Correct. Then they, yes, they apply to SBAC for their certificate, and then SBAC comes back to Tarleton and says, have they completed all of their coursework and everything that needs to be done? I get that information together and make sure that they've done everything they need, and then we say yes, and then Tarleton will actually let SBEC know that yes, they are eligible for their certificate.
Yeah. I'm just curious, and maybe you don't have data on this or not, but do we have any information on how Tarleton students are doing on the various certification exams? Do we have pass rate statistics?
I would have to look that up. I
Okay.
know at one point I had all of that information, but I haven't kept it up here recently. We, and it's a little difficult to keep up with because students do not actually have to take and pass their Texas 268 and 368 to finish the program and graduate with their master's degree.
Mhm.
We have lots of people who will finish their certification courses
Yes.
and will wait to take those tests. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing for the superintendent
Yes.
certification. So I
Yes.
do encourage them to take that as quickly as possible, as long as they feel prepared,
Mhm.
simply because the further away you get from the information, the more difficult it is to remember the information, or just to remember to sign up and take the test.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I
Right.
agree. Well, one final question about the practicums. Is it the responsibility of the student to find where they're placed, or do they get any assistance with that?
Well, they must be employed with a district. If they're doing the principal certification track, then they would be a teacher on a campus. And so they would, it is simply wherever they are employed at. We
Okay.
have students across the state in districts and campuses across the state. So because it's online, both programs are online,
Mhm.
then it really doesn't matter as long as the credentials of the district are in good standing, then it doesn't matter where they're at.
Okay. So typically someone would just use their job as their
Yes.
practicum opportunity. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Good.
they would work with their campus administration or their district administration to complete those field hours.
Yeah. Very good. Well, this has been so helpful for me, and I'm sure it will be helpful to our prospective students who are contemplating whether to make this move and pursue this. I think it's always better to be prepared, even if you ultimately maybe decide you want to wait to actually take the certification exam. It's
Right,
nice to have that coursework and this process completed and in your back pocket so that you can be ready if opportunity presents itself.
right. And I always tell the students coming in, again, as I stated at the very beginning, if you are considering an educational doctorate, you can preload, you can get into either of these tracks. And these courses, even if you complete it a year or two before you're admitted to the EDD, they still will count for your concentration hours. So it
Wonderful.
does make it a little less difficult once you're working on that doctorate, if you've got these already complete.
Yes. Well, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's something to make clear. This is a concentration within the EDD that would count towards your total number of credit hours for that program. So,
Correct. Yeah, the concentration areas, whichever concentration you choose, there's 15 hours that count towards that concentration in the EDD program.
very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Edwards. This has been very enlightening, and we appreciate the work you've done in supporting our students through this because there are a lot of moving parts as
Absolutely.
we've heard you explain. So we appreciate your expertise. To our live audience, as a reminder, this recording will be available to review on demand in our Graduate Studies YouTube channel. So if you need a refresher, we invite you to certainly come back and rewatch and review as you need to. And if you have any friends or colleagues who might be interested in this content, we would certainly appreciate you sharing it with them as well. So again, thanks to Dr. Edwards. And
Thank
I think
you.
with that, we can end our webinar. So thank you, everybody.